At first glance, my new home was exactly what I was looking for. A perfect getaway after selling my startup. A classy place in an exclusive gated community, with a spacious office for my remote work, and a garden that promised to be my new hobby. But that private entrance gate turned out to be the starting point of a war I could never have seen coming. It all started when Margaret Thompson, the president of the Homeowners Association, crossed my path. Her rehearsed smile couldn't hide the menacing tone in her voice when she brought up the condo rules. At that moment, I had no idea that my quiet move to the suburbs would turn into a digital battle that would expose the dark side of that seemingly perfect community. What followed was a series of events that turned my quest for peace into a tech revolution against outdated authoritarianism. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to see more stories like this. My first week in the new house was going great, until Margaret, or Maggie, as she insisted on being called, showed up at my door. With her perfect haircut and her pearls lined up just right, she demanded I take down the private access gate I'd installed. According to her, it clashed with the visual harmony of the neighborhood. I politely explained that the gate was within my property limits and fully complied with all city regulations. I even showed her the paperwork on my tablet, but she just waved it off, as if digital data meant nothing in her world. The next morning, I found an official HOA notice nailed to my door. The document threatened astronomical fines if I didn't bring my property up to the established standards. As I was saving a digital scan of the notice from my records, I noticed on my security cameras that Maggie was watching my reaction from across the street. Things escalated when I discovered strips of nails installed at the entrance to my garage. My surveillance system caught the exact moment they were put up, at 3:47 in the morning. The 4K video quality made it crystal clear who was behind it. Right then, I realized I wasn't just defending my right to have a gate. I was up against an outdated mindset that refused to accept change. I sent the recordings over to Benjamin Roberts, a real estate lawyer a friend recommended. His response came immediately. "This is just the tip of the iceberg. You're not the first one dealing with this here." Ben's response helped me come up with a more sophisticated strategy. I strapped a high-resolution camera onto my drone and set up automatic flights to map my entire property every 30 minutes. Before I knew it, evidence was piling up on my personal server, creating a detailed log of every suspicious move. Taking down the nail strips was just the beginning. Ben managed to get a court order banning Maggie from coming near my property, but that only seemed to fuel her even more. A week later, those nail strips reappeared, this time cemented in with quick-drying concrete. Officer James Cooper, a digital crimes specialist, got really interested in the case when I showed him the time-lapse footage of the incident. "This goes beyond a simple neighbor dispute," he said, while checking the metadata on the images. "We have evidence of premeditation and intentional property damage." I decided to expose everything on the condo's digital group. I shared an edited video showing how the whole ordeal unfolded, including every attempt at dialogue that had preceded Maggie's actions. The reaction was immediate. Soon, other residents began sharing similar stories. Robert Miller, a doctor who lived 2 houses down, revealed that his solar energy project had been blocked because of aesthetic concerns raised by the association. William Harrison, a retired investor, shared documents showing that condo fees had skyrocketed ever since Maggie took over as president. The post went viral beyond our community, reaching groups from other planned neighborhoods in the area. Maggie tried to delete the post, but it was too late. Dozens of copies were already circulating on different platforms. Her attempt at digital censorship only made the discussion louder. During an emergency HOA video conference, Maggie tried to justify her actions as necessary to maintain community standards. Her voice trembled as she read a prepared statement, clearly rattled by the flood of angry messages coming in through the chat. The power she'd wielded for so long was beginning to crumble, pixel by pixel. The conflict hit a whole new level when Maggie kicked off a digital retaliation campaign. Defamatory posts about me started popping up in local groups. Baseless accusations about noisy parties and alleged illegal activities at my place. She clearly never expected that my security system, recording 24/7 every moment on my property, would completely debunk her claims. On one particularly tense night, my cameras caught Maggie trying to plaster flyers on my mailbox. The facial recognition system kicked in automatically, turning on the outside lights, and the crystal-clear audio recorded every word of her outburst. "You and your technology are not going to destroy everything I built here," she screamed at the cameras, not realizing she was just feeding more evidence against herself. The neighborhood's digital community split. Some of the older residents, close friends of Maggie, defended her traditional approach, but most residents, especially the professionals who had recently moved in to work remotely, took my side. This wasn't just about a gate anymore. It had become a showdown between the old way of living and the new. Ben suggested I install extra motion sensors and infrared cameras. "She's cornered," he warned, "and desperate people make desperate mistakes." And sure enough, at 2:15 a.m., my security system picked up movement along the garage perimeter. The night cameras captured Maggie and two unknown men creeping up on my Tesla Model X. Within minutes, they somehow managed to disable the car's alarm using some kind of electronic device. The car slipped out quietly through the gate, followed by an old pickup truck. Immediately, my system sent alerts to my phone, to Officer Cooper, and to the monitoring center. The city's traffic cameras, accessed by the police, tracked the car's route all the way to a warehouse on the outskirts of town. Cooper then coordinated a tactical team that surrounded the place in less than an hour. The interrogation later revealed that Maggie had hired two hackers who specialized in stealing luxury cars. She planned to leave my Tesla abandoned in a shady spot, hoping to tarnish my reputation. Under police pressure, the hackers handed over all the messages and bank transfers that proved her involvement. While I followed the operation through updates from Officer Cooper, a flood of supportive messages from neighbors started pouring in. Chuck Peterson, the owner of the local towing service, even offered to get my Tesla back for free. Robert Miller organized an online petition demanding Maggie's immediate resignation as HOA president. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The very technology Maggie despised had become her downfall. Every move she made to hold on to control over the community was documented, archived, and shared, creating a digital record that couldn't be denied or erased. Her loss of power wasn't sealed in closed-door meetings or shady backroom deals. It was brought down by a transparent, verifiable exposure of her own actions. Maggie's arrest happened in broad daylight, live-streamed by dozens of our neighbors' cell phones. Officer Cooper made sure she was cuffed in front of her own house, the very place where she'd humiliated so many residents. The cameras caught her look of disbelief as he listed the charges: conspiracy, property damage, cyberstalking, and grand theft. In the days that followed, a deeper investigation uncovered a disturbing pattern of abuse of power. William Harrison, now the interim HOA president, found files showing that Maggie had manipulated electronic votes and even used condo funds to hire private investigators to spy on troublesome residents. My case opened the floodgates for more complaints. Bob Miller led a group of residents who started sharing their own stories on a dedicated webpage. A doctor said she'd been forced to shut down her home office after repeated surprise inspections. A game developer revealed that his plan to expand his studio had been blocked over concerns about network traffic. Ben even organized a class-action lawsuit representing 23 residents. The digital evidence I had collected became the backbone of the case, proving a consistent pattern of harassment and discrimination. My video recordings, security metadata, and communication backups were all key in laying out the timeline of events. Local media turned the story into a series of reports on abuse of power in planned communities. Investigative reporters discovered that Maggie had been doing the same authoritarian management thing in other homeowners associations, acting as an informal consultant for maintaining community standards. During her custody hearing, Maggie tried to portray herself as a guardian of traditions, insisting she was just protecting the community's values. But the judge, after reviewing all the digital evidence, was unyielding. "You built a kingdom of fear disguised as order," he declared, using intimidation tactics that have no place in our modern society. The transformation of the community was both immediate and profound. William Harrison set up a new governance system with all HOA meetings live-streamed and archived. Voting moved to a blockchain-based system to guarantee transparency and security. An app was even developed so that residents could propose and discuss changes to the condo rules. Chuck Peterson, the guy who helped get my Tesla back, was elected to the board along with other residents representing the community's diverse professions. Robert Miller established a tech committee to modernize our condo's infrastructure, including installing public Wi-Fi in common areas and setting up charging stations for electric vehicles. The most important thing, though, was seeing how the community came together after Maggie's downfall. Neighbors who barely knew each other started organizing both virtual and in-person events. A remote work group even created a co-working space in the old association office. Fear was replaced by innovation, and control gave way to collaboration. My gate, the spark behind all this transformation, remains a silent symbol of resistance against tyranny. Now, it opens for a truly connected community, where technology is used to unite instead of divide. Maggie's legal fallout went far beyond anyone's initial expectations. During the trial, the prosecution uncovered a network of contacts at other homeowners associations where she'd been working as an informal consultant, spreading her control tactics. The judge deemed this an aggravating factor, handing down a sentence that included not only jail time, but a lifetime ban from holding any administrative role in residential associations. The story soon became a hot topic at conferences on community governance. I was invited to share my experience on a panel about modernizing condos, where I presented the detailed logs from my security system to show how well-implemented technology can protect individual rights and promote transparency. Ben expanded his legal practice to take on similar cases. "Your case set a precedent," he explained over coffee in my newly planted garden. "Now we have a model to fight abuse of power in gated communities using digital evidence." His firm started offering online workshops for residents of other condos, teaching them how to document and legally contest arbitrary decisions. William Harrison turned out to be the complete opposite of Maggie as a leader. Under his management, the HOA adopted a digital voting system with two-step verification for all important decisions. The old surprise inspections were replaced with scheduled evaluations complete with clear criteria and results published on a transparent portal. Officer Cooper even used our case to develop a specialized protocol for crimes in planned communities. "Technology can be both a tool for oppression and for liberation," he noted during a training session with his team. "The difference is in how we use it to protect individual rights." The biggest change, though, happened in the social fabric of the condo. Robert Miller kicked off a smart community garden project using moisture sensors and an automated irrigation system. Ironically, it was installed right where Maggie used to conduct her landscape compliance inspections. Chuck Peterson expanded his towing business to include maintenance services for electric vehicles, quickly becoming a go-to guy for the neighborhood's growing tech crowd. His son even developed an app that lets residents schedule services and track maintenance in real time. The security cameras, once eyed suspiciously by some of the older neighbors, were rebranded as community protection tools. An integrated surveillance system, complete with strict privacy protocols, helped cut down on vandalism and break-in attempts. My house, once seen as a threat to the established standard, became a model for other residents. I even started hosting monthly workshops on home automation, helping neighbors implement smart solutions in their own homes. The very gate that sparked the whole conflict now serves as a meeting spot for morning running groups and bike rides. Maggie's exit didn't just end an era of authoritarian control. It opened the door to a whole new way of community living, where technology and tradition coexist in harmony. Our experience proved that being modern doesn't mean losing your values. It just means evolving them into more inclusive and transparent ways of living together. The fallout on social media eventually brought national attention to our community. Tech journalists began investigating how homeowners associations all over the country were adapting to the new reality of remote work. Our story turned into a case study on how not to handle technological evolution in residential settings. In an interview for an urban innovation podcast, I shared anonymous data showing how Maggie's authoritarian management had negatively affected property values. The contrast between that and the rise in value after our changes was striking. Real estate agents even started using our transformation as a selling point, marketing the condo as a residential innovation hub. William Harrison launched a mentorship program that connected tech-savvy residents with those eager to modernize their homes. I got actively involved, helping a 70-year-old lady set up an automation system so she could safely continue living alone. Her daughter, who's a doctor in another state, could then monitor her well-being remotely. But the deepest impact was on our collective mindset. The HOA meetings, now live-streamed with remote participation, became perfect examples of digital democracy. Decisions were made based on concrete data and measurable feedback from residents, not the personal whims of one person. Robert Miller expanded his Smart Garden initiative to include an automated composting program. Sensors now monitor the temperature and makeup of the soil, with updates sent to a digital dashboard in the common area. The project was so successful that delegations from other condos started visiting just to learn about our tech-driven sustainability. Chuck Peterson transformed his garage into an automotive innovation center. In addition to traditional services, he now offers software upgrades for electric vehicles and installs home charging systems. His expertise even helped create an electric charging corridor that connects our community to other progressive neighborhoods. Digital evidence from Maggie's case was eventually incorporated into an online course about modern community governance. Ben now uses the material in lectures for homeowners associations, showing how technology can help prevent abuses of power. Transparency isn't just a buzzword, he says. It's a practice that needs to be built into every system we design. Officer Cooper developed a specific training program for his team, focusing on where digital crimes and residential disputes overlap. My security records became part of the study material, illustrating how home systems can provide crucial evidence in investigations. The most subtle, yet equally important change was in the social dynamics of our community. The invisible barriers that Maggie had built between old and new residents began to break down. Interest groups started forming organically on the condo's app, from digital book clubs to esports teams. Our story became a reminder of how communities can reinvent themselves when they embrace change instead of fighting it. Maggie's legacy now serves as a warning about the dangers of authoritarianism, while our recovery shows just how powerful collaborative innovation and transparent governance can be. 1 year after Maggie's conviction, we pulled together a community celebration we called the Residential Innovation Festival. The event, streamed live for the families and friends of the residents, perfectly symbolized our transformation. Where the nail strips once marred our entrance, there now stood an interactive digital stage where residents shared their stories of adapting to technology. The daughter of the lady I helped with home automation delivered a moving holoprojection presentation, explaining how technology had allowed her mother to maintain her independence. The system we put in had even detected and alerted us about a potentially serious fall, making immediate medical help possible. William Harrison took the opportunity to announce the creation of a community innovation fund, partly financed by the settlements from the lawsuit against Maggie. The goal? To support projects that mix technology with social benefit. The first project approved was a network of environmental sensors to monitor air quality and create a microclimate map of the neighborhood. Ben, who's since become a highly sought-after speaker on digital rights, revealed that our case had even inspired a proposal for a state law. The Transparent Residential Associations Act would set minimum standards for digital governance and data protection in planned communities. Officer Cooper had one more surprise: statistics showing a 70% drop in criminal incidents since our integrated security system was set up. Even more impressive was that this was all achieved without sacrificing the residents' privacy. As I watched the celebration in my garden, now filled with smart sensors and automated lighting, I couldn't help but think how a simple dispute over a gate had sparked a revolution in our way of living. Technology, which Maggie once saw as a threat, had become the backbone of a stronger, safer, and more connected community. My gate is still there, silently opening and closing on schedule, but now it stands for something bigger. A reminder that when technology is used wisely and with empathy, it can turn conflict into an opportunity for collective growth. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to see more stories like this. The epilogue of this story continues to unfold in surprising ways. 3 years after the initial incident, our condo has become a national model of digital community governance. Delegations from homeowners associations all over the country now visit regularly to learn about our transformation. Maggie, after serving her sentence, moved to a small town in the countryside. Ironically, her time in prison changed her perspective. I heard from some mutual acquaintances that she now works as a rehabilitation consultant, helping ex-cons adapt to modern technology so they can re-enter the job market. The security system I set up evolved into an integrated community platform. Every home now has a digital hub connecting all its smart devices to a central network, preserving individual privacy, while still allowing relevant data to be shared for collective safety. William Harrison has stepped down as HOA president, but remains active as a mentor for our residential innovation program. His latest project was the rollout of a blockchain-based voting system that guarantees complete transparency in community decisions, without compromising voters' anonymity. Ben expanded his legal practice to include a department specializing in residential digital rights. His firm now represents homeowners associations throughout the state, helping them modernize their governance structures while protecting the individual rights of residents. Officer Cooper was promoted to head of the new Residential Digital Crimes Division, using our experience as a model to develop specific investigation protocols for connected communities. Our condo now even serves as a training ground for officers from all across the country. As for my gate, it remains a silent symbol of resistance and progress. It's now part of a larger access control system that uses biometric recognition and behavioral analysis to keep our community safe. But more important than its technology is what it stands for. A reminder of how, when used wisely and with empathy, technology can turn conflicts into opportunities for collective growth. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to see more stories like this.